Hello everybody, it is the Drag Detective, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I haven't really done in a while, which is just a what if scenario video. This idea kind of randomly came to me, and I was like, I wonder what would happen. So I spent some time, went through the season, figured out what most likely would have happened, and I'm here now to present it to you guys. First, let me just say this is my humble opinion, but I also used your guys' responses from a poll that I put out a couple weeks ago about season 12. While it is some of my opinions in there, I would say nothing that I did is against what you guys put in for your opinions on season 12 in the poll I sent out. So I think this video is going to hopefully make us all very happy because all of our opinions get to be included in this video. So before we get into that, make sure you are following me on Instagram and Twitter, where I post polls and opinions and memes and just fun stuff. I'm close to 100 followers on Instagram, so why don't you help me cross that little barrier and I'll follow back the 100th person that follows me. Also, if you are able, maybe check out my Patreon. I am going to be posting a March video for my patrons that will not be uploaded to this YouTube channel. Also, you'll see poll results and behind the scenes stuff now and again. I'm having some fun on Patreon, so check it out, but also no pressure. Now, let's get into what would have happened if season 12's premieres were like season 6's premieres. Now, if you have not seen season 6 in a while, let me refresh your memory. They split up the queens just like they did in season 12, with half in one episode and half in another. But unlike in season 12, a queen went home in both of these premieres. So I'm going to do that for season 12. I'm going to send one queen home in each of the premieres, cut 2 episodes from the season, and see what would have happened. Also, I want to make this clear that I'm going to be doing the judging based on how the judges judge the season. So even if I disagree with a placement or a win, that is how the judges did it in the season. So that is most likely what would have happened if this season had gone this way, right? I will put in maybe some of my opinions and your guys' opinions towards the end of the video, where we might not have the placements from the show to base on the episodes. So other than that, it is going to be mostly based in exactly how the season went, just maybe with different queens depending on who makes it further or who doesn't make it as far. Now, the first thing I had to do for this was cut 2 challenges. And to do that, I tried to look at what are challenges that we see every single season. That's an acting challenge, an improv challenge, snatch game, a musical, stand-up, those kinds of things we see them almost every season. And the 2 that we don't see as often, or I thought were the most forgettable, not as fun, were Droop and Choices 2020. So those are the 2 episodes that we will not see in this video. Every other episode is going to be here. Some of them, I will say, are switched around in order, but when we get to it, I'll explain why I did that. So let's start with episode 1, I'm that bitch. Now this was like the perfect first episode. And changing it like this would have gotten rid of the Widow versus Gigi lip sync, so that really would have sucked. But let's go through and see who would have probably been in the bottom based on the judges' critiques. Now, I think it's very obvious Widow Von Du would have won this episode. I mean, Gigi was great, and she was really close second place, but just performance-wise and verse-wise and runway-wise, I mean, Widow would have won. I don't think there's any argument there, but Gigi Good and Jackie Cox would have been in the top, as well as Brita Filter, based on the judges' critiques. So that means Crystal Method, Heidi in Closet, and Nikki Doll would have been in the bottom 3. I do think they would have saved Crystal here, and that would have left Heidi and Nikki in the bottom. Crystal didn't do bad this episode, but they gave her some kind of lukewarm critiques, like they were critiqued her makeup, which was bullshit. and they kind of said like, oh, your verse could have been better. So I think Crystal probably would have been saved, especially because of her runways from the spring and fall. That would have leave Heidi N Closet and Nikki Doll lip syncing. And even in that pageant gown that Heidi was wearing, I think that Nikki would have lost this lip sync. I love Nikki Doll, but I mean, she just showed that maybe her lip syncing skills were not up to par with some of the other girls, especially Heidi N Closet, who was the lip sync assassin of the season. Obviously, Heidi's not going to go home here, and we're going to say goodbye to Nikki Doll in 13th place. Episode 2, we have You Don't Know Me. Now, obviously the inferior of the episodes. There was really no one that fully sucked in this episode. Like, no one did terribly. Everyone got to shine in different ways. So this was very, very hard to kind of figure out placements. But just based on the critiques, Jada, Jan, Shitty Pie, and Aiden Zane were in the top. They had great critiques. Of those 4, I think Jada would have won because her runways were great, her verse was great, her performance was great. She completely ate this entire episode. So Jada would win this. And that leaves a bottom 2 of Rock'em Sakura and Dahlia Sin. Now, I actually thought Rock'em did great in this challenge. I thought she did what exactly they were asking, which was show your personality. But I guess they didn't like her personality. So, Rock versus Dahlia to Call Your Girlfriend by Robin. Again, Dahlia showed us that maybe her lip syncing skills are not as amazing, incredible as some of the other queens. Now, Rock'em showed us that she can do the stunt, she can do the splits. That's exactly what this song, I think, would call for. So Rock'em would for sure win this lip sync, and Dahlia would be sent home in 12th place. That leads us to Grey's Anatomy, which I'm going to put as the next episode, and I'll explain why we skipped World's Worst when we get to World's Worst. Grey's Anatomy. Great challenge, and there are the same amount of queens here as there were in the actual episode with 11. So the only things that would change would be Nikki Doll isn't here, but Rock'em Sakura is. So we're just going to say Rock'em Sakura is going to play the baby role that Nikki Doll played, and everyone else is playing the same exact character. Let's just do that for simplicity's sake. Now, this was judged a bit strange. There was a top 5 and a bottom 6. So I'm just going to do that. And basically nothing changes in this episode. The top 5 are Gigi Good, Widow Von Du, Jan Sport, Shitty Pie, and Jackie Cox. And Shitty Pie wins. So that leaves Jada Essence Hall, Heidi N Closet, Rock'em Sakura, Crystal Method, Aiden Zane, Brita Filter in the bottom. This changes things a little bit because the bottom 2 originally was Nikki Doll and Heidi N Closet. Well, Nikki Doll's not here, so we need to find somebody else to go into the bottom. We also need to find somebody else to be low, because originally Brita Filter was low. But now we're going to push Brita into the bottom and have her lip sync against Heidi N Closet. So of the girls that are left, I don't think Rock'em would do bad in this challenge. I think she'd actually do pretty good. Maybe just not as good as the 5 that were in the top, because it really wasn't a part that had much substance. I mean, some people could probably make it funny, but it was just kind of a cringy role in general. But I don't think Rock'em would do as bad as Nikki. And I don't even think Nikki did that bad. So of the 5, I think Jada struggled the most. So we're going to put Jada as low, which kills my heart, but Jada is going to be low, and we're going to have Heidi N Closet and Brita Filter in the bottom 2. Now, we already saw what happened when Heidi N Closet and Brita Filter were in the bottom 2. They gave us a great lip sync, and Heidi won. So in this episode, they lip synced to Hard to Break by Kim Petras, and we saw Heidi do pretty good in this episode. Brita, do I think Brita could do better? Maybe, but I don't know. Heidi did really good in this lip sync. It was so much fun. And Brita is also an incredible lip syncer, but I just feel like Heidi would win this, as much as I love Miss Brita Filter. So Brita is going to go home here in 11th place. Now we're going to go to the ball, which is also going to be changed up a little bit because we don't have Nikki Doll to be in the top, and we don't have Brita Filter to be in the bottom. So we're going to have to kind of shake up these placements a little bit. And to do that, I looked at, of course, your guys' poll results. And also, I agreed with them, so I just went with it. So in the top 3, we have Jada Essence Hall, Gigi Good, and Crystal Method. Mostly because Crystal's final look was just so good. I think Jada and Gigi were obviously, it was between these two all along. Crystal was like the next best, I think. I also consider Jan, but I think that Crystal's final look was better than Jan's final look, whereas Jan's first 2 looks were better than Crystal's first 2 looks. But really what matters is the garment that you make. I think that has the highest like weight behind it in placements. So Jan, she's like a safe 4th place here. Crystal's 3rd place and high. Obviously Gigi wins this challenge, and that means we have to find a new bottom 3. So we still have Rock'em Sakura, so she's going to be still in the bottom 2. And we're also going to bump Aiden Zane down to bottom 2 because she was low before, and she should have been on the bottom. Anyway, of the queens that are safe in the episode, Widow, Jan, Shitty, Jack, and Heidi. Based on your guys' opinions and mine, Shitty Pie did shitty in this challenge, so we're going to put Shitty Pie as low. Now we have Rock'em Sakura versus Aiden Zane to S&M by Rihanna. Rock'em obviously struggled a little bit in this lip sync because of her garment, but I still think that she would do more than Aiden Zane because what did we see Aiden Zane do in her lip sync? Nothing. So Aiden Zane is going to go home here, probably as she should have on the actual show, in 10th place. Now we're going to move on to World's Worst. Now the reason I pushed it off to here is because there were 13 people in it originally, and without those 2 spots, it would only be 11 if I were to just put it as the 3rd episode. There's no way to have like one of the skits with only 2 people. So I decided to get rid of the fruit skit that had 4 people in it and left the other 3 skits that had 3 people each. We have 9 people left. I hope that makes sense. It made sense to me. Also, this was not judged by like one group doing good and one group doing bad. It was kind of like they just picked they just picked because they wanted Shitty to win from each group as who was the best and who was the worst. So I did that here. We have the same top 3 with Shitty Pie, Jackie Cox, and Heidi in Closet. I personally think Heidi wins. You guys personally think Heidi wins, but that's not what happened. So Shitty Pie gets her 2nd win here for literally no reason. And then we have to kind of figure out who would be in the bottom. So I tried to figure out who would be in groups, but I mean, it's a crapshoot. I tried my best. We have the 3 old ladies still here, Gigi, Jackie, and Heidi, so that's easy. For the triplets, we have Shitty, and her 2 co-stars are gone now. And in the Girl Scouts, we have Widow and Crystal, but Nikki's gone. So that leaves Jada, Rock, and Jan, who are in the fruit group. 2 are going to go in the triplets, and 1's going to go in Girl Scouts. Now, I decided to throw Jan in with Shitty because they're both from New York. I'm sure they knew each other, and I'm sure Jan knew Shitty was a funny queen. And I decided to put Jada with Widow and Crystal because they bonded on set a lot. So that means Rock is going to go with Shitty and Jan. For this bottom 3, this was rough because they're going to be in different roles, some of them. So it's really hard to tell. But I just went based off how well they did in the challenge itself. How were they in the improv challenge? Of the safe queens of Gigi, Jada, Widow, Jan, and Rock, I figured Rock and Jada would probably do less good than Gigi, Widow, and Jan. So Crystal Method was in the bottom 3 for this challenge. She's immediately going to be bumped down to bottom 2. Crystal's lip syncing. So now we're looking for who is she lip syncing against. So between Jada and Rock'em, I think Rock'em would do better. I think Rock'em did better in the improv challenge than Jada did. So again, this kills me, but I think Jada is going to be in the bottom 2 here. But the good news is Jada could beat Crystal very easily in a lip sync. As much as it kills my soul to see these 2 in the bottom so early, Crystal Method is going to go home here in 9th place. And Jada is going to survive her first lip sync. Now we have Snatch Game. Again, things are going to change, but we still have the same winner in Gigi Good, and we still have the same high placements with Jackie and Shitty Pie. So that leaves Jada, Widow, Jan, Heidi, and Rock. in the actual bottom two, neither of the queens are here. And even the bottom three, because Crystal's not here either. So we really have to like base this off of randomness. In the actual Snatch game, Widow didn't do great. Jada did fine. I mean, she didn't do one way or the other. She was just there. She didn't really sound like Cardi B or look like Cardi B. Jan, they gave her like one joke that was funny and everyone laughed, and then they like barely talked to her ever again. And Heidi was a solid safe. Like, she had some fun responses, but she also had some like weird kind of moments. So, and Rockham was not here for this challenge. So now we have to figure out how would Rockham do. I know that she did the Snatch game, sort of, on the Bring Back My Ghouls, but I also think that was probably rehearsed. Or she at least got the questions ahead of time so that she could make a funny answer. I don't know. The judges did not like Rock, right? The judges were not keen on Rock. I think that they would want to get Rock out at this point. And I don't think it's between Rock and Jada for me who's going to do better. And I don't know if Rock could do better than Jada. So I'm going to put Rock in the bottom. And I'm sorry if you disagree with me, but that is just my reasoning. So that means we have Jan and Heidi as safe. We have Widow in the bottom two with Rock, and we have Jada as low. This is Widow's first lip sync. We all know Widow's an incredible lip syncer, and this is to Let It Go. Now, we saw Widow do a ballad with Firework, and she's great at showing emotion and doing a song that isn't like just splits. So I think Widow would win here because, one, she has a challenge win, and two, this is Rockham's third time in the bottom. So Rockham is going to go home here in 8th place. Next, we have the Madonna Rusical, the best episode of the season, one of the best episodes ever. And yes, things are going to be changed again. Gigi wins. Jan and Jada are going to be high. And I put Widow as high too. I know that it's kind of weird to have 4 people in the top, but there are 7 queens. And I guess Widow might technically be safe, but Widow did so good. So I just put her as high with these other girls because this was like a very special challenge. Like, everyone did good basically. So that leaves Shitty Pie, Heidi in Closet, and Jackie Cox as the bottom 3. And obviously Heidi lip-synced and Jackie was in the bottom 3 and should have lip-synced. So we're going to leave Shitty Pie as low, and Jackie and Heidi are going to lip-sync here to Burn It Up. And I do think that this is also going to be a double Shantae. I don't think that they were going to want to get rid of Jackie so soon. And I think this is a song that Jackie could have camped up the same way that she did Kill the Lights. So I think this would be a great double Shantae. Now we're on to the one-woman show. Obviously, we know Crystal won this challenge, and she's not here. So who would win in her place? Well, we know that Jackie did a great job. Shitty did a not good job, but they put her on the top anyway. So now we have Widow and Jan here. I think they both would have done great, especially Jan, because that is what she does. She hosts a show for 2 hours a night on the mic. I think that Jan is going to win this challenge. No one else really did great. I mean, Jackie did really good, but it wasn't like funny. Like, it had funny moments, but it was more about like a fun story and like a heartwarming story rather than like a comedy routine, which is great. And I think that she deserved her high placement. But I do think that maybe Jan could have made it a little more funny. So we're going to put Jan as the winner of this challenge. We're going to put Widow and Shitty and Jackie in the top. That leaves Jada, Gigi, and Heidi. Obviously, we saw Jada and Heidi lip-synced in this episode. So we're going to put Gigi as low, and we're going to put Jada and Heidi in the bottom 2. And we all know, unfortunately, Heidi goes home here. So that leaves us to our top 6 in the makeover challenge. And we actually have the looks that the queens who weren't here for this would have worn. So we can kind of base those off of the placements. So Jan and Widow would have worn these. Neither of them are great. Widow's is oy vey. So Widow's in the bottom 2 for this, guys. Like, there's no way that she's not. What is this? And I think Jackie would also still be in the bottom because Jada did great, Gigi did great, and Shitty Pie, unfortunately, did great. So they would be our top three. I think Jada still wins this challenge. I think Jan would be low because it's like a safe, it's boring, but it's pretty, I guess. And I think I liked Gigi's better because that's kind of what Gigi got, was like it's pretty, but it's safe. But I do like Gigi's more than Jan's. So I'm going to put Jan as low and Widow and Jackie in the bottom two. And they're going to be lip syncing to Kill the Lights. Again, this could have been a double Shantae, but we're just going to send Jackie home here because she's already done the comedy shtick in Burnin' Up. And this is like the perfect song for Widow to like unleash the full Widow Von Du experience. So Widow would clean the floor with Jackie. So yeah, Jackie goes home here in 6th place. That leads us to our final episode before the finale, the Vegas challenge. Listen, everybody slayed this challenge in the actual episode except for Shitty Pie, yet Shitty Pie was safe. And I think the same exact thing would happen here. They're all going to do good except for Shitty, and Shitty is still going to be safe. So the way that they based the bottom two in this challenge was track record. And that just so happened to be Crystal and Jackie in the original. Here, our worst track records are actually Jada and Widow. Jada only has 2 of her wins, not 3 of her wins, and she lip synced twice. There would be the bottom 2 here, even though I think they both did incredible. That's just what they based the actual episode off of. So that's what we're going to do here, even though it's bullshit. So Jada versus Widow to On the Floor. Widow, I mean, by the time her second lip sync happened, she was very defeated in the actual show. So I think she probably would have been a bit defeated here, knowing she didn't get a win. Even if she did go into the finale, she probably would not win. I think that they both would do great to this song, but I just think Jada would have had a bigger shot at the crown. And I think that Widow probably would know that and maybe be a little bit defeated like we saw on the show. So I think Jada would win here. And unfortunately, the Widow Von Du would go home in 5th place. But at least we would get more Widow, which I'm always here for. So that means our final 4 going into the finale are Jada Essence Hall, Gigi Good, Jan Sport, and Shitty Pie. Obviously, Shitty Pie gets disqualified, and that means we have Jada, Gigi, and Jan as our top 3. So can we just talk about what a great finale this would be with Gigi, Jada, and Jan performing from home doing these quarantine songs? I think it's pretty obvious Gigi's going to win. She has 4 wins, no bottoms. Jan has 1 win, no bottoms. And Jada has 2 wins and 3 bottoms. So Gigi's going to win here. Even if she was technically disqualified from season 12, I still think that she's the only real viable option in this simulation that we've been doing. And she basically wiped the floor with the competition. So Gigi would totally win in this scenario. But Jan and Jada, I know, would have brought, like, incredible. I mean, we know what Jada brought, but I know Jan would have brought amazing performances to that finale because, I mean, she's like a pop star. Like, that's her whole brand. So you know she would have gone all out. So this was a very strange thing to make, and I moved a ton of stuff around. And at one point, Widow was going home early, and I'm like, no, like, let's think this through. And then Widow made it to the end, and then things switched around all over the place, but I always tried to keep it as realistic as possible. Let me know what you think. If I went wrong in this, you know what? I accept responsibility. Tell me nicely where I went wrong, what you would have done differently. Explain, because I'm here to have a discussion. Let's discuss what really would have happened and why your opinion might be different than mine. At the end of the day, this is just a fun video that means absolutely nothing. So really, what does it matter? Thank you guys for watching. I like doing these. These are fun. Let me know some what-if scenarios in the comments that you guys want to see me do, and I would love to do them. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe and like this video for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been a long day of solving the mystery of why Shitty won World's Worst and why she didn't lip sync in the Vegas challenge. And the answer is Riggery. Have a great day.